Hey guys, I'm Gabe, your YouTube, and I'm bringing you my back-to-back top 16 extravaganza deck list on ZOOLITCH. And without further ado, let's get into it. Alright guys, so let's just get right into the main deck and we will start off with the monsters. We are starting with 2 Eldritch the Golden Daddy. He is the Bay of the deck. I would not play 3, I think 2 is perfect. Self-explanatory, I don't really need to explain him. I assume if you guys are clicking on this deck profile that you already have an idea of what this deck does, so unless it's kind of a lesser known tech, I'm probably not going to explain it. So 2 Golden Daddies, beautiful card. Next we are, let me move this over here. Next we are playing the Zoo package in 1 Whiptail, 1 Ram, and we are playing 3 Thoroughblade. Now for the hand traps, and that's it for the main monster lineup, guys. I don't know if you noticed, but there's like barely any main monsters in this deck. It's like 5 Zoos and 2 Daddies. So we have 2 Droll Unlocks and we have 3 Ash Blossoms. Ash Blossom's pretty self-explanatory. Literally everybody and their mom is playing Ash Blossom right now. So I don't really need to say too much about Ash Blossom. But the Droll Unlocks felt optimal. I experimented with Nibiru in the main deck. I also experimented with... what's that card called? I experimented with Ghost Bell in the main deck, and we tried out Lancia in the main deck, and actually had Lancias, I believe, mained for the March Extravaganza. But for the April Extravaganza, we went ahead and main decked the 2 Droll and Lockbirds. Wanted to put 3 in, but didn't quite have the room, and 2 still felt pretty comfortable. So yeah, and Droll hits pretty much everything in the format right now. So I would highly recommend playing Droll and Lockbird as a hand trap if you're kind of trying to figure out what high impact hand trap is going to be most consistent. So that's it for the monster lineup, guys. So we're going to get into the spells now. We have 3 Cursed Eldlin. We've got 3 Fire Formation Tanky and the 1 Zodiac Barrage. We have 3 Pot of Prosperity. Pot of Prosperity is really good for this deck. I mean, even just banishing 3 and milling 3, you can usually find something to make your hands better. We have 2 Cosmic Cyclones to end the spells in the main deck. Cosmic Cyclone is good. I was testing Lightning Storms in the main deck, and I was also testing the Twin Twisters, but Cosmic Cyclone just felt right. In testing, it hit a lot of the matchups that we struggle with, like Shadal's. And it just has that sort of permanence to it since it banishes the cards. So for the trap cards, we play the pretty standard 3 Conquistadors, 2 Hakeros, and the 3 Scarlet Sanguines. So Scarlet Sanguine, you need to play it at 3. Hawk, you can play 1, you can play 3. You can even play none, to be honest, but I think in the current meta, Hawk is still pretty powerful, and having just a really solid way to access Engine game 1 is really important. When I side deck out, often I'll side deck the Hawks out, or at least one of the Hawks, to make room for some side deck cards because it's not super essential in the matchups. And sometimes even when I'm playing mirror match, I'll side out 1 Conquistador, just because the Hawk is a little bit more powerful than Conquistador in the mirror matchup. All right, to finish off the traps, we have 3 Solemn Strikes and 2 Ice Dragon Prisons. Again, this ratio felt right. I tested 3 IDPs, I tested 2 strikes, and this just felt right. The deck is so good at simplifying the game state that Solemn Strike just ends up becoming so impactful. When you can already kind of slow things down, then Solemn Strike lets you like very decisively pick off your opponent's counter push. Or when your opponent tries to reestablish board dominance, Solemn Strike is just so decisive and just so generic that it has a little bit more precision, in my opinion, than the IDP does. But IDP is still an amazing card, absolutely, so we still main deck the IDP. We have 3 Shadow Imprisoning Mirrors. So this card put in insane work at the Extravaganza this past April. It hits pretty much most of the top meta decks, so if you think Shaddoll Invoked, other Invoked variants, and Dragon Link, this hits all of those matchups, and it hits them pretty damn hard. It even hits some decks like Virtual World, because a lot of their extra deck cards are Dark type. When you think like Ultimate Zulkin, when you think of like Dragoon, it's definitely hitting those cards, and it's hilarious when it does, because they're just like, I have no idea what to do. So yeah, I can't say enough good things about this card. It was an anti-meta pick. It was a meta call that I made, I would say kind of last minute. I was floating between a bunch of different meta calls, and this is what I ended up landing on, just because it made the most sense. If your opponent's not playing any darks in their deck, you can always send it to the grave for Golden Lord. You can always discard it from your hand for Golden Lord, so it's never like absolutely dead. You can always use it for something, but just having that option to just completely grind the game state to a halt and be able to control it on your terms is so powerful. And if your deck has the capability to play a you don't get to play Yu-Gi-Oh card, you fucking play the you don't get to play Yu-Gi-Oh card. So yeah, I would highly recommend Shadow Imprisoning Mirrors. I think MCole40 described it best.
Hey, imagine that you're so fed up with today's metagame that you just went and dug out your Shadow Imprisoning Mirrors, and you're like, you know what? No more fun allowed. Alright? Think that's actually hilarious to me. Alright? So, man, think about that. I'm still, oh, that is so good, actually. Imagine it. Imagine just getting Shadow Imprisoning Mirror in the year 2021.
And yeah, that's all I really have to say about it. It put in a lot of work. Funny enough, I actually played a PK Fire deck in my very first round, and this was in my opening hand, and it's just like, oh my god, yes, I get let's take this out for a spin. So yeah, really good card. So for the extra deck, we will start off with the Link 1 in Link Spider. For the Link 2s, we have Nightmare Phoenix and Elsa, the Earth Charmer. So Nightmare Phoenix is self-explanatory. The Earth Charmer, I forget who I saw with this in their ZOOLITCH build a few months ago, but I loved this pick. I think this was absolutely amazing. It's a nice little beat stick to throw on board, and it floats, so if it's destroyed, and it doesn't necessarily even have to be sent to the graveyard, just destroyed by battle or card effect by your opponent, you get to search a earth monster from your deck with 1500 or less defense. So that could be pretty much most of your zoo monsters. You can search out your Pankratops if you play Pankratops in the main or the side deck. And then the other effect, a special summon from their grave, is so insane. Like, I had a game where my opponent had a Pankratops in grave, and I took their Pankratops and used it to push for game. Like, absolutely crazy, and it helps you link climb. So yeah, highly recommend the Earth Charmer in this deck. It's very easy to bring out. For Link 3s, you have Nightmare Unicorn and you have Access Code Talker for the Link 4. So Access Code Talker was really important in a lot of matches because your opponent usually doesn't see it coming. They look at your board state and they're trying to predict Zeus plays or they're trying to predict Shakanine plays. And so sometimes if you use both Zeuses, but maybe you have like a Shakanine left in the extra deck, they don't really think that you're capable of a threat. They think like, oh, you have to use your 3500 Golden Lords and try to grind out with traps to win the game, but you can pretty easily link climb into Access Code Talker in this deck, like super easily. So that's it for the Link monsters. So for the Xyz, it's really standard, just one Trident, one Hammer Kong, two Shacks, two Tiger Mortars, two Borbo. So yeah, nothing really to explain about these. I think these were the right ratios. You know, nothing fancy here, pretty no nonsense. A lot of cool stuff you could do with Shakanine and Tiger Mortar, and I'll show you a common combo that I used in the Extravaganza in March to place 14th. But yeah, these are pretty self-explanatory. You guys get the deal. And to end the extra deck monsters, we have two Zeus the Sky Thunder. Yeah, you need two. You're gonna go through both. You can get away with one, but yeah, just having the second one is such a powerful option. So for our side deck, we are playing 3 Lightning Storm and 1 Harpy's Feather Duster and 3 Dark Ruler No Mores. So As you can obviously see, we are trying to blow our opponents the fuck out in game 2 and game 3. And this is the way to do it. It's really, really, really nice when your opponent makes you go second, and you know they're going to make you go second in a lot of matchups. They don't want you to establish a board position. And so when you're going second, you throw all this in there, and they just do not see it coming. So for the monsters, we are playing 3 Nib and 1 Panky. Then, of course, we have our going first cards. We have 3 Solemn Judgments and 1 Imperial Order. Once again, not much to say about this. I really like this lineup for any deck that needs to go first at any point in the game, because it helps prevent the blowout cards like Lightning Storms and Harpy Feather Dusters. And Imperial Order, again, like going first in any deck, even if you play a lot of spell cards, is really, really powerful because it shuts off your opponent's push plays, which is really nice. And it helps save your life points from like paying half from Judgment off the rip, because you know you only pay 700 every other standby phase. So, and then the other nice thing about Imperial Order in this deck is that you can turn it off by sending it with Golden Lord, which is really, really cool. So you have a way to get it off the board if you need to. So that's it, guys, for the main deck, the side deck, and the extra deck. So let's get into the March Extravaganza 14th place variants in this deck build. So I played the Red Eyes package in March instead of the Shadow Imprisoning Mirrors, and I was actually main decking 2 debunks in that build. And so the reason why I was playing the Red Eyes package is because of a combo I'll show you guys in a second. It's a really, really cool combo if you guys want to play goons in the deck. And then the debunks were a really nice pick in the main deck because it helped make sure that your Sanguines went through, you know, kind of pushes past Ash Blossom and ends the chain there because they can't respawn because it's a counter trap, which is really, really nice. And it was also really good against like Mirror Match, other Eldritch variants, because when they try to bring back the Golden Lord, once again, you negate the special summon of the Golden Lord because it's an effect summon from the grave, and it banishes the effect monster, which is really, really cool. So they lose that recurability on it, and once again, they can't chain like a Scarlet Sanguine or anything like that because Debunk is a counter trap. So, and it costs nothing. It costs literally nothing. So Debunk was really cool. Let's see, and then we played the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, the Anaconda, and the Masquerena in the extra deck for the March build. And once again, like this is obvious, this just complements the package that I was showing you earlier. And the Masquerena was in there for some cute plays with Nightmare Unicorn, and this was before I decided to play the Axis Kotaku and the whole link climbing package that I was playing. So it was a little bit more of a, this was more of like a defensive build in the extra deck, whereas my current extra deck is more of an offensive build. And in the side deck, the differences that I had was I played different Dimension Grounds, and I played Summon Limits in the side deck in March, as opposed to the new side that I have for the April Extravaganza that I just played in. Yeah, not much to say about these cards either. Like, if any of you have experienced playing these cards, different Dimension Ground is really nice because you play a lot of cards that stick to the board. You know, Conch doesn't go to the grave after you use it unless your opponent gets rid of it. Same thing with Hakero. You know, IDP, you don't care if IDP gets banished or anything like that. Ash Blossom, you know, activates from hand, things like that. So, and then Golden Lord has a fat ass. He's like 3,800 when you bring him back from the grave for that turn. So yeah, different Dimension Ground was just really nice to kind of stop plays, simplify the game state, and kind of fatigue your opponent. And then the Summon Limits are really powerful because, you know, they just, again, simplify the game state, and it hits a lot of different combo decks. So that's all I really had in variation from the March to the April deck list. So I got 14th place in March 28th, and I got 15th place for the April 18th, the most recent Extravaganza. So back-to-back top 16. Let me go through the combo real quick for you guys. So you play Fire Formation Tanky, and you search for Thoroughblade, and then you summon the Thoroughblade, and you Xyz into a Trident, and then you use the Trident to pop the Tanky, and then you Xyz over the Trident with Shakanine, and then you detach with Shakanine to target the Thoroughblade. Special summon the Thoroughblade. Link for Verte Anaconda, pay 2,000, and send the package. There you have it. Off of one Tanky, you get a Dark Dragoon on the board, and you got 4 other cards in hand. You can just set them, and you have this huge defense. I mean, obviously you want to keep 1 card in hand for the Dragoon, but yeah, so 3 set cards. You got a Goons, and yeah, you're off to the races. This is a very, very powerful combo that I exercised a lot in March. It won me many games. The opponent didn't expect it. Like, as you start going through the combo, your opponent's just scratching their head like, yo, what are you doing, dude? And then when they see the Anaconda, like, the light turns on, they're like, oh, son of a bitch. But there is another board state that you can have where you can dodge nib. So if you open like Thoroughblade and any other Zodiac, instead of popping the Tanky, you can literally just summon Thoroughblade, and then you can discard the Zodiac monster to draw, and then you can completely skip the Trident part of the combo. You can just go straight into Shakanine, bring back the monster you discarded, and do the whole thing, and you actually end on 4 summons at the Anaconda, and so you completely dodge nib if you do it that way. But yeah, so basically this is a really powerful combo. I played it in March. The only reason I didn't have the Goons package in this build for April was because I found that my opponents were either main decking or side decking Super Poly a lot more often, and getting your Dragoon Super Poly turn 1 feels really, really, really bad. But that's all I had today for you guys. I'm new here on YouTube, so I'd appreciate it if you guys could like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.